as I said in the last one, if you're paying attention, the Germans wanted Lebensraum, and so the Jews are becoming numerous, and so they want to see what to do with them, and maybe that's a pun, if you will. But the conference was actually called the Wannsee Conference, all right? And so the Wannsee Conference is basically the idea of what to do with what they called the Jewish problem. Now, the man put in charge, as I said, Hitler will give the Waffen-SS in charge, and the leader of the Waffen-SS at this time is Heinrich Himmler. So Heinrich Himmler is basically the guy behind the SS, leader of the SS. He's also the one of the creators of these various ideas we're going to go through about what to do with the Jewish problem. And so he went through steps, and this is just sadistic in itself, and the fact that all this man really did was think of ways to kill more effectively and to hide this, and that's just horrible. I mean, but these kind of people do exist. If you ever have time, there's really cool stuff on Himmler and his kind of like hobbies into the occult and the unknown and just weird stuff that were about him. There's a whole bunch of documentaries on that, so I don't have time to get into that. I'm sorry. So the first thing, they come up with the Wannsee Conference. They're called the Eisengruppen. The Eisengruppen basically are a mobile killing unit. They would round up the ghettos, get the people out of the ghettos that were not of use to them, have them dig a mass grave like this, and then shoot them. And then they would fall into the grave. Now, the problem with this, and they actually analyzed these things, and the problem they discovered with this was, number one, it was time-consuming, and number two, they said it was painful, not for those people, but for the soldiers. And so they wanted a way to kind of mask the deaths for the soldiers so they wouldn't have to see it. That explains the magnitude, because, I mean, if you think about war is about killing. And it's messing with these soldiers because these people, they know in their heart, are innocent, and they're not fighting back, and they can't fight back. So Himmler comes back with a second idea, and they're called the Helmno killing trucks. They're mainly used in the area of Helmno, but they were all around, and it was a truck like this. Now, the weird part about this, sadistic if you want to, was that they really targeted children at this point. They would promise them a shower, a better life. They'd pile them in these trucks. The truck would start, but it wouldn't go anywhere, and they were pumping exhaust fumes from the truck into the cab. Here we kind of have another example. They used the bus, etc. And the general mentality was, when they stopped screaming and kicking, they were dead. Thereby, the people didn't have to see them die. But the problem with this is they had to find a way to dispose of the bodies, so that they did not look good. They knew this was wrong. They knew that if they got caught, bad things would happen. Okay? And so then the last thing we move into is called the final solution. The final solution included putting them in what were called gas chambers, much like this one, where they were shaved prior of any body hair. They got into the gas chamber, thought it was a shower because they'd been in a truck and like cattle, and then once they were done there, they were sent to the crematoriums where they were cremated. And so this was the final solution: the mass murder and the burning. Now, this is not an easy thing to talk about. I mean, this is horrible. I mean, how can anybody treat anybody this way? This is genocide. Genocide, and the prefix of our suffix at the end, right? Suffix "side" means to kill somebody. You think of a homicide, it's killing of oneself. Or of another person, another Homo sapien. A suicide is killing of one's self. A germicide is something that kills a germ. A pesticide is something that kills a pest. In this case, geno, the prefix, means race. So this is race killing. And in the end, the Jews systematically genocide killed 8 million people. Of that, 6 million were Jews. And in fact, some of the Americans that liberated these death camps got shocked and horribly disgusted, because they went up and they said, hey, we're liberating this place, and it's snowing. But how's it snowing? As they got closer, they realized those were ashes and ashes of the people, and it actually made some of these people who'd seen people die in war all the time break down and cry. Because how can somebody be so wicked and so evil and vile? So genocide is killing a race. Now, another name we have for it is ethnic cleansing. You think of cleansing as something being gross. Get off me. And an ethnicity is another group of people, okay? Now, just to tie up some loose ends here, the most notorious or infamous, if you will, death camp was known as Auschwitz. And above Auschwitz gates, when you got there, they had this sign that says Arbeit macht frei. I probably butchered that. More or less, work makes you free, which is a horrible pun because you really didn't get past these gates much further, because the showers are here, and the crematorium would later be built out there. So this is a horrible thing, but there you go. Now, how do we know these stories of what happened in these death camps, these concentration camps? There's a writer. His name is Elie Wiesel. And Elie Wiesel won a Nobel Peace Prize for this, in trying to get the truth out about what genocide does and how it looks. And the name of this book is Night. And many of you probably read this in 10th grade, but it's a good book nonetheless. Now, some other stuff I didn't really have in here. The Jews later on, after World War II, are going to have their own state created for them. It's carved out of existing states, and it is called Israel. And Israel is established, as you can tell here, in 1948. The problem with Israel is that it's on a peninsula called the Sinai Peninsula, and everyone else there is Arabic, Muslim. And so there's been a lot of fighting here, and there's one in particular area they fight over called the Gaza Strip, and we'll get more into that. There's something that happens in the war between Israel and its Arab neighbors, and we really feel bad for Israel. One reason we feel bad for Israel is the way the Jews were treated, because of a lot of people say somebody should have done something, somebody should have noticed the telltale signs. Well, we've never dealt with anything on this level. But when it does happen, we generally get upset and we try to jump in.